Absolutely. See exactly how it is going to go. Already, the Maokai taken away from Peanut. I believe last count was 10-0?
11-0 now.
11-0. There you go. The Ashe banned away against Carrier, an understandable one there, and of course, an obvious flex because Ashe Rumble has been a bit of a thing as well. Carrier, of course, debuting it in the support role here in the LCK after taking some notes from good old Life over in the LPL, of course, formerly on Harmon Life Esports as well, which is pretty cool.
They're going to take away the Kench here. The Senna is still available if Guma wants to play it. They could run the Nautilus with that since that's also open. And it would make a Zeri pick pretty weak. I don't think you want to run Zeri into Senna. I think it's a Viper Varus angle if that is pushed through. There's 3 bans towards Peanut. And it will be the Twisted Fate here.
That is crazy.
Just to start things off. I mean,
Senna Nautilus is available, Wolf.
And it's making Harmon Life Esports make the decision. Now, if they end up picking the Senna Nautilus here, there's a few picks they could face. Obviously, the Lucian Nami could be the Varus pick. And I think it's a pretty easy call. It's Delight. Yeah. I mean, it's Delight on Nautilus, and it's Viper on Senna. There's not much else you need to say when you lock those picks in. And they think they're going to outrange it in the early game with the Jinx Thresh. And this is the Guma late game crit pick. It's this and the Aphelios. If you're playing against Viper, that you absolutely can match him with. And Carrier's iconic Thresh. We haven't really seen it too much in recent times, but it has come back in a big way here with Jinx.
Yeah, and Delight was the one that actually picked up the Thresh first off here. Carrier hasn't tried his hand at it after the Thresh was a little bit buffed back towards relevance. It's something that we have seen players utilize very, very well when there are the less mobile picks, such as the Jinx, towards that bottom side. I do think it's just a gigantic gamble, though. This is an extraordinarily explosive draft from T1 to leave open the Senna Nautilus in the very first game. And this is one of those things that T1 does often like to do. They take all of their risks at the beginning of the series.
I think that's a wise choice, too, when you have the depth that T1 has. As Taliyah will be taken away from Faker here. Jace is gone. The Rek'Sai pick still available. Obviously, it can be tough in the early levels to face off against the Twisted Fate, but you get any money, and the Twisted Fate just doesn't hurt you anymore. And we could see them try to control that top side of the map, play the safe Azir lane, and then try to pilot Peanut towards the bottom side to make sure this Senna lane doesn't end up having any problems, doesn't give too much plate gold over. The Lee Sin that made it this deep into the draft, I think definitely deserves a look here. Considering Owner has been so fantastic on it. They don't have the Poppy this time around. Aatrox, another pick that we could see T1 ban, has historically been very good with this Senna. So Aatrox is up, Rek'Sai is up. See what Doran wants to play. May just save that pick for counter here in R5.
Could be one of those options. They might be flexing the Twisted Fate, I guess, but it's probably not likely. We did see the Rek'Sai do relatively well into it, though. Peanut probably wants to lock away his pick, try and deny something from Owner at the same time. Sejuani, Xin Zhao, lots of things still up and available, and it looks like it will be the Spear wielder himself in the jungle for Peanut.
Does feel very strong into a Twisted Fate composition as well as a Jinx composition, having that Crescent Guard to make sure you can't be blown up and then the Jinx gets excited. Very frustrating to play into this beefy jungle that's going to do a ton of damage as well. Now, this was the X Factor. The Corki to come through, they can go just hyper scaling with this. They already have a ton of control topside, assuming things don't go wrong here for Zeus on this Twisted Fate. Big question now on everyone's mind is what is going to be that jungle pick here for Owner.
Yeah, plenty of things still up and available, but it doesn't feel like a very good Sejuani angle. There's not even a support that does melee damage, so Permafrost not really going to be all that useful.
His Rel has been fantastic this season, and it looks like that's what they're going to go with here. Doesn't feel amazing with this composition, but can be great for package. The Rek'Sai, not really a shocker. We had our eyes on that one this entire time here in draft. It is going to be left through, and Doran will pilot her here into the Twisted Fate. The early game here for T1 can be quite tricky to play out. I think if the Jinx falls behind at any point, you just feel like you're infinitely scaling here with the
Valky obviously not going to be doing very much of anything very early on, but the package can certainly help for third Drake, things like this, to really start to fight back. And I think the Twisted Fate that we saw lose really hard into Rek'Sai earlier on in the week, see whether it piloted by Zeus is going to be a different story. So many questions asked. Now to get them answered, let's hop onto the Rift.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for playoffs round 2, our second match.
미니언 생성까지
We'll see who's going to be able to take it here in game number 1. T1 threw down the gauntlet by leaving open the center Nautilus. I do have a fun fact, because you don't necessarily associate Viper with center play, right? He's a bit of a Zeri guy, very good at the creative carries, things like this, with a bit more presence in lane, presence in team fights. Viper has a 46 KDA, 100% win rate on center.
Yeah, he's pretty good at it.
It's not bad.
He's pretty good at anything that goes late, even if it's not fancy, even if it's just a little bit more finesse, as the Senna often does end up being. We'll take a look at some of these champion stats here for T1, but I can tell you this is the 5th game for Zeus on the Twisted Fate. He is 4-0. Leading into this 5th game, it's now his 3rd most played behind the Aatrox and the Cassante. And, you know, you look at some of these other picks here, Peanut hasn't played as much Jin Zhao as a lot of his other, really strong picks, and Doran obviously played the Rek'Sai. We weren't really impressed with it against the Guangdong Freaks, but that was his first games that he did play, of course, with this champion, and just one lane and then didn't do a whole lot, but it didn't matter. And I think that he will have to do a little bit more than that this game around if he wants to set up for the Senna. It becomes a very difficult target to kill later on. Faker 5-0, probably get the stat on exactly what his win streak is, because it is very long at this point. I always lose count.
And on the other side of things, we mentioned already that the Center Nautilus has been something that Harmon Life Esports have found a fair bit of success on. Doran with that victory on the Rek'Sai, but like you mentioned, it's not something that we're necessarily saying was extremely devastating or anything like that. It felt like Dudu did manage to handle it relatively well. Hook going to connect here on to Delight. Bit of a snare coming in though, and Viper and Delight not going to be too worried about how things are going here. Just going to get pushed in slightly early on.
Here's the Senna Nautilus win streak. 12-3 total, 10 in a row, including some teams down here, Guangdong Freaks, T1, sorry, not T1, FearX. T1 would not be surprising to have on that list, but some of the other teams is Peanut.
Yeah, Faker taking a fair bit of damage here. Wind Becomes Lightning is going to connect, but Faker still able to just Valkyrie his way out, and Zeka's health bar does not really help him out too much here. 8-3 is going to be the win rate for Corki into Azir. Corki Azir has been a tale as old as time. There
22.
is that graphic you were talking about. 22 in a row as Ona comes down, gets the flash out from Zeka, and he'll immediately go home.
Zeka doesn't have a dash available there. We'll have to flash. Feels really amazing as Owner to be able to get that away early, and now to come over here, start putting the pressure onto Peanut. Early on, obviously, the Rek'Sai can't win the matchup into Twisted Fate, so...
Ona able to steal that one away from Peanut as well.
Massive start. Yeah, he is really just putting the pressure on the Peanut here, making sure that Zeus can continue to get pressure topside. They're winning, obviously, the push in bottom lane. And they have tons of control now. They got the flash out of Zeka's. Meanwhile...
Yeah, playback onto Viper. He's taking a lot of damage. Lantern going to be taken, and that's going to spell the flash out from Viper. Does manage to snare carrier, but the hook is going to connect. Delight is able to buffer the dredge line. That is able to get him out of range. So nicely played here by T1, putting the pressure on real heavily on this bottom side.
Yeah, everywhere, really. I mean, Carrier allowing them to have that agency bottom side, top side, the shadow coming through there from Owner. The only way this Rek'Sai starts to win super early is if Peanut comes over there and Zeus overextends, but he just isn't. Was shadowed there again by Owner, coming over there, stealing those camps away, getting the flash out of Zeka. His impact in this early game has been so high. And now, obviously, the Corki doesn't have to deal with any sort of flash engage here from Zeka or anything like that. It's very comfortably just going to sit back and farm. Faker did pick up the tier, and he's sitting pretty in lane.
Yeah, just kind of chilling at the moment, as Delight is hanging around here towards this bottom side, waiting for the wave to push in. You saw Viper, he's making his way back, but no cleanse, no flash. Possible visit towards this bottom side for the Rel, if Owner would like to, as he does make his way out of base. Yeah, Doran just trying to survive as best he can against the shove power of Zeus on this Twisted Fate. And it's working. You know, you can just go underground and then BK, as we figured out. Going through that Fury quite a lot.
Just trying to, put the Fury on cooldown, basically, as you mentioned, just constantly force him to heal up. Doran will have to be the first one to back here. Feels great as Zeus. Should be able to get his Destiny up and can take a luxury back whenever he wants.
Yep.
And I mean, the winning here that T1 is doing early is kind of what I expected here, considering the Twisted Fate lane. Obviously, the fact that Senna is going to outrange, or rather, Jinx is going to outrange the early Senna lane. To put that poke onto the Nautilus, the Thresh has a lot of power in that matchup too. And as long as Keria plays it well, which, you know, surprise, surprise, he's Keria, the early game feels good here for T1. Then you start to stack up packages for those, you know, second, third Drake fights like you were talking about. Things do look very nice here in this early game for T1. Already picking up 1,000 gold the lead here with 0 kills just from laning alone. And this is what you want to see if you're a T1 fan.
Absolutely. First dragon going to be a mountain. We'll see who's able to get over there. I think the dragon stacking is going to be something very important. I think if T1 manages to get a few of the early ones, it's going to be so difficult for Hanwha Life Esports. Like you were talking about, I think Hanwha probably wanting to get down there and start stacking these before they have to worry about packages. And as we say that, Peanut, Viper, and Delight will start this one off.
Yeah, it looked like maybe Owner wanted to try to make something happen here onto Doran, and they decided they were not going to go for Dragon. The back timers of both Faker and the bottom lane just really indicate that they had no interest of contesting this first one here. Just a really awkward time all around. Faker not having teleport, of course, as Zeus should be fine. He's like, yeah, good luck.
Doran just kind of swimming around. Gold card is going to connect, and that's going to deny any sort of harassment. As Peanut, bit of a drive-by fadeaway smite there as the dragon does go down. Next one's going to be a Chemtech, and so Orcs is paying attention today. It's really
He's
good.
here. He did the pre-show.
Yeah, thank goodness, because yesterday it was a disaster. We had 3 Chemtech souls. Ugh.
That's like, Valdez and I did the math on that in Challengers once. It's a real statistical anomaly.
It certainly felt like that. Did make Game 5 feel really cool, though, when we got an Infernal.
Yeah, that was like, very...
Whoa, relevant dragons? Crazy.
Yeah, Game 4 was an ocean, if I'm not mistaken, as well, right?
Yeah, it wasn't great.
So far, you know, as we slow this down here, Dragon went over without a hitch. Chemtech is going to be the second one here, so not going to be the most impactful, but Hanwha do want to stack that up. As Doran is starting to, you know, be a little bit more of a threat here to Zeus because he does have those Merc Treads, so we'll be able to get back into the action after gold cards very easily. Yep. And after he does end up picking up some of those tank items, obviously this is going to be when Zeus can't really hurt him at all. Yeah, T1 are feeling pretty good.
I think you want like an item and a half or something like that for Doran, and then he's just going to be out scot-free. But of course, you're never really going to be much of a damage threat, and he really wants to be getting on top of Faker and Gomushi and just disrupting as much as possible in these fights. Now, it's gold card going to connect onto the Twisted Fate. As we check out this bottom side, Viper going to land a bit of a snare onto Keria. This Piercing Darkness starting to hurt a little bit, as we do see now that Peanut was waiting, thinking about some sort of opportunity, but not going to quite get in there. As Ona sweeping things out, and Doran might be his target, but Shattering Strike not going to land, and therefore the burrow is going to be enough to get out.
Very close call there for Doran. May have had to flash otherwise. With the Rel having level 6, you hit that Shattering Strike, then the gold card comes through, then the Magnet Storm comes through, and you are not going to be that tanky with sitting on just the Merc Tread. So you know, you can heal your way out of a lot of things. So that one I don't think he would have been very happy with, as owners just continue to put the pressure on here. And as Rel, you know, on this patch still, you can just contest objectives like this. Peanut has no idea.
Yeah, Viper's moving up. Keria in the area as well. Owner, I think, still unseen, as Peanut will now walk into the brush and figure it out. Peanut does manage to get the smite, which is pretty impressive against Darrell. And so going to be able to get out of there relatively happily, but full information to T1 with the fact that Viper is towards this top side of the map and Peanut is shadowing. It means that Zeus not going to push his luck here towards the top side of the map, and we'll have some equalization still.
Really?
No first blood.
Yeah, and really cool play there from Keria. You know, oftentimes supports do struggle to get advantages against the Nautilus, you know, that sits on bottom side with teleport, so trying to match the center roam here and allowing Owner to continue that pressure top side. Yeah, he didn't end up with a successful takeaway there of the red buff, but it was a good try, and he's just shadowed there by Keria, who has a lantern for him, so really no risk to Owner whatsoever. And if Faker tries to rotate up there, you know, maybe there's a play that could be made if Zeka makes a mistake, so just constantly putting the pressure on.
Speaking of which, Peanut is now going to find Owner, gets a full combo here as Owner is just trying to get himself out. Emperor's Divide, and they push the Rel away. The Crashdown is going to come through as Shattering Strike is a fair bit of value, but it's not going to get out of the Void Rush. That is first blood going over to the Rek'Sai.
Yeah, it looks like he just scared that perhaps a flash would come out there, so just uses the ultimate to guarantee the kill. And this is a problem for Zeus. Doran getting a little bit accelerated here isn't going to be game-breaking or anything like that, but Owner ultimately decides not to flash there. Will be the end of his life. And that is, a good choice. I think all things considered probably dies anyways there, and we'll now have it for the engage as Faker out of his depth here a little bit, holding this package.
Yeah, he's able to play with relative abandon when it comes to danger, just because that package does afford you so much safety. And so able to walk on in there. Still, Zeka being able to grab his first assist of the game. I think we know Zeka not necessarily as a laning Azir, but more as a team-fighting Azir, one able to find some of these angles for the Emperor's Divides, and we'll see whether that is going to be the same thing as Doran is in trouble. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see whether he can get himself out of this one. Teleport is going to come on through as he's trying his best. Dives on top of Carrier here, as now Faker taking a lot of damage from this turret. Super Mega Death Rocket connects onto Zeka, but I think that Humble Life Esports have kept themselves alive there towards the top side. See whether Gamushi can do the same in the bottom lane, and it looks like he will be able to, stifling the pressure on both sides.
Yeah, the dive a little bit mishandled there by T1, but also they see the teleport coming through from Zeka. They don't want to hard force it, and the aggro juggle was pretty decent. As we're going to go back to this play here onto Owner, just sticks around a little bit too long. Faker is backing as well, so nothing he can do. Was just desperately trying to get to his blast cone. Knows he's out of flash range to flash to the cone, and decides not to use it, which I think is wise, but probably shouldn't have been pushing that far up. And the defense there of the dive topside was pretty successful. Zeka did not have his ult. He does now.
Faker, no package available here as Peanut does slow Faker down. Owner is going to be here. Flash out from Faker, but there's the audacious charge from Peanut. They get the knockoff, and Faker is going to be taken down. And Emperor's Divide immediately follows. Owner this time is going to be able to flash and will take the Lantern away to safety, but still 2 kills for Hanwha Life Esports.
Really massive start here for Hanwha Life, and one of those kills going over to Viper here. This is not what you want to see as a T1 fan.
Doran just trying to do what he can. The Ghost's going to be used here from Zeus, who's just throwing so many cards at this Rek'Sai, who will eventually just be able to hop in a tunnel and get himself out. Hanwha Life will be able to take the prize of a Drake unless Owner is able to do something about it. They do get a bit of information as he gets on over there. It's going to be the steal, but it might be a sacrifice of his life as well. Magnustorm comes in and he takes the Lantern, and Carrier is going to save his jungler.
And T1 are just so good at this, man. You know, you see the observers pan over towards Owner on the wall. He's got his Hex Splash. Carrier's got Lantern. They had Super Mega Death Rocket. They're going to try every way they can to prevent the Dragon Stack, and it is successful this time around. Now, Ocean Soul being the soul here, arguably a much stronger soul here for Hanwha Life, considering they have this farming Nautilus and the Rek'Sai, but at least it's not going to be the next Dragon threatened soul point. Good play there from T1 to deny the Dragon. The gold lead is still theirs right now, still holding 5,000 as the advantage, but Carry's starting to get a little bit closer to online here. The Senna getting stronger. Obviously, the Azir now having Nashor's Tooth. The early game has felt pretty good for Hanwha Life, turning things around, as this is just a lot of greedy out of Faker. Has Valkyrie, but as you mentioned, no package. The escape range here, not large enough. And then I appreciate Peanut also following for the flash after the stun comes through from Owner, making sure he can get that knock up there onto Faker. Zeka tries to get Owner here. We'll get his flash only, but a good attempt nonetheless. Carrier is here to cover once again. Carrier has been everywhere this game. Speaking of that, you'll see this play here. Goes for the steal. He's got the Lantern to get out. Pings it.
Yeah. He's like, over here, please. Success. Really nicely played there by T1, and Carrier, always a joy to watch on this Thresh. You remember the Q buffs on Thresh where Carrier landed like 11 deaths in one team fight?
That was so silly.
It was very silly. Thankfully, we don't quite have Death Sense at that low of a cooldown anymore. Would be a little bit broken. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to spot Doran out as he is fighting with Shelly right now. A bit of a void battle.
Viper decides to avoid it. He's like, Doran, you can take it. You can go underground. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not taking this damage. You can.
Viper is getting scary, though. We can see that he is behind in gold and stuff like that, but Delight actually keeping up. So as far as the 2v2 is concerned, pretty even. Most of the money is, in fact, on Zeus. As we can see, does have his static Shiv very close to the rapid-fire cannon, I would assume, and is extraordinarily far ahead of basically everyone, but notably Doran.
Yeah. As, passive, etc. He is going to get pushed away from his turret here now, and Doran and Peanut will be able to put a decent amount of damage onto this. Only have one Void Grub, so not going to be pushing this one down very quickly. Zeka does have ult flash.
Yeah, he does. And he also has Viper coming down here towards his bottom side as Emperor's Divide is going to be avoided. Ono was taking up the turret for such a long time, though, and is just going to fall down. Viper just great positioning here. Gumayusi Carrier just a little bit late to the party.
Yeah, Owner a bit of a miss on this one.
Well, so Mega Death Rock, can he get flashed there? As that is a lot of respect given. And now Destiny coming on through. Zeus will find the gold card, and that is a very comfortable kill. Snare should be able to keep Viper safe, but that is still so much damage done, and the acceleration of the Twisted Fate is well and truly continued.
Yeah, now they're going to try to counter drop this Rift Herald here in mid, and they should be able to get a decent amount of damage on this turret. See how long they can stick around. It is a Nautilus and a Xin Zhao here trying to push this down, but with the minions, they should be able to get it very low. And T1 are just saying, well, we have a much longer push. We have 5 Void Grubs.
Yeah, that is going to be a death sentence onto Doran as well, who is going to get flayed back. Viper will find his way back here, and they should be able to keep this turret alive, but it is not exactly very healthy.
No, definitely not. Neither the mid turret that does survive here or that inner there on the bottom side.
All right, Peanut taking a lot of damage here from Faker, who's almost towards his items. Peanut deciding to go in is very aggressive, as now they're just looking to try and lock down this turret. They will be able to do so. Zeka able to get a few autos in there. That will be the outer in mid lane taken down. A lot of map control and power with that Drake falling.
You mentioned
that turret falling.
Yeah, you mentioned the Twisted Fate as well, how much gold he has. He's leading the farm right now. He's 40 CS up on Doran. He did pick up that turret, of course, bottom side, as well as that additional kill onto Zeka. So he is pretty big, but how well will he utilize gold in the late game? Twisted Fate often a champion that, you know, does end up doing a decent amount of damage when you get to late game, especially if your team is crushing it. And we see full build Twisted Fates. We've seen it from Zeus multiple times where he actually ends up just crushing through even a Casante's health bar. But on the other side, it's Viper who's getting to be quite large here for Hanwha Life, and the question becomes now which one is going to have a larger impact as we push through this game. I think a lot of that will depend on how many of these Ocean Drakes Hanwha Life can stack up here against the poke.
Ona is going to come on over and take away the shellfish.
Peanut's like, that's a relic.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'm just not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to waste my time. As gold is entirely even. 5 seconds until our first Ocean Drake of the game. As Doran teleporting to the mid lane. They are not wanting to give this one up without a fight. Gold card locked here by Zeus. Going to throw it at a Drake for the moment. Now Carrier moving on in, Hook going to connect onto Doran. Not exactly an optimal target, but he's going to be denied the burrow. Does have to Blast Cone to get himself out of the way here. Let's see whether Owner is just going to be able to utilize the rel to lock this one down. It is going to be secured, but can they win the team fight? Hook going to connect onto Peanut as Faker delivers a package to the back line. Viper shields himself up, though, has to flash over the package to avoid the damage. Hook is going to be there under Peanut, though, and he should go down. Emperor's Divide lands on almost everyone, and there goes the Jinx, but Viper falls immediately afterwards, and now the damage is just Zeka. Zeus zones in on it, and that will be the lockdown of the Emperor. And there is the damage gone. No one else able to offer anything back, and Delight, yeah, he's tanky. He will last a little bit longer, but he will still be going down, and T1 wiped the fight.
Yeah, T1 wiped the fight, take a pretty significant gold lead here, and we'll end up getting control of mid lane as well. They could probably decide to, with 5 Void Grubs here, just push this turret down with this cannon wave. Owner and Faker can make very quick work of it. The moment that Doran ends up using his burrow, doesn't have anything, gets gold carded here, and you're contesting Ocean Rift here with this brush, I think you should probably just walk away as Hanwha Life here, because you're playing the smite fight into the rel, and then Peanut just walks up anyways here, isn't able to set up for a Crescent Guard. Even though Faker's package is very lackluster and he kind of puts himself out of the fight, it's still a Jinx. Once she gets excited in this fight, you know, you're like, okay, do we keep pushing this? She gets taken down, and then you have no more damage here. Zeka's already used his Emperor's Divide, and yes, he does have his second item nearly complete here. I don't think it's actually quite finished just yet, but he's just isolated here, and Doran is just a meat shield. Delight the same. And if you end up losing the Senna, and even if the Senna's isolated on top side this early in the game, you're not going to win those longer fights. And it felt like Hanwha Life were just like, well, I guess if we win the 50-50, it'll still be worth, right? And it wasn't. And now you can see the gold lead is massively in favor of T1. Owner was never going to lose that smite fight. And huge whiff, I think, here on Hanwha Life on this fight.
Yeah, it's not really what you're looking to see, as Faker able to get a couple of kills on this Corki so far as well. Still not really with that first item completion. So I'm a bit scared because already he's doing so much damage. Does have the transformation on the Muramana. But it doesn't, like, the news doesn't get better for Hanwha Life Esports, right? Like, Corki, once you hit those couple of item spikes, you're absolutely devastating. We saw already, you know, Gumayusi was taken down immediately in that fight, but T1 still had the damage to keep on going because Zeus exists, right? They've got triple damage threat on the side of T1. And so as soon as you do get those first couple of kills, it is so difficult to continue fighting because you just don't have the same level of damage. Yes, you've got protection, but not so much the damage. And Hanwha Life Esports just needs to be more coordinated in these fights if they want to get this one done.
You know, we've seen a lot of, you know, more defensive Azir played with Senna out of some of our top teams. You know, we saw that from Faker, we saw that from Jovi, actually even Showmaker playing the Grasp Azir a little bit more defensively to keep the, in this case, Viper alive, keep the Senna alive in these longer fights and itemize for that, but it's just going to be looking for engage as the way Zeka is playing this, and that's not surprising given Zeka's playstyle in general. But I think they're going to have to slow this game down, and that's frustrating into a Corki. But if they just keep trying to match T1 in these early objective fights here, I mean, I say early, it's 20 minutes, they're going to be in trouble.
Zeus just going to very comfortably take the inner turret and gates his way out. Tunnel over for Doran, but he's only able to pick up these minions, not able to save his structure. And so 3,000 gold is the resulting lead for T1. They have a Drake advantage as well. Things for this Corki Jinx composition are looking absolutely fantastic at this stage of the game.
They're looking for a pick here with this teleport from Delight.
Yeah,
but it's
package available as Carrier and Ona are in the area, so therefore it should be absolutely fine.
They're going to clear this vision, but starting the Baron, I mean, T1 definitely will just contest here. This is a pretty interesting call from HLE, considering this is a Senna early on.
Fate can't actually make his way up here, so Hanwha Life Esports are just saying, we have 5, you have 4, and at the moment it is 3. Hook going to connect, as Ona's Magnetstorm is fantastic. He's lasting for so incredibly long, and gets his way out as well, but still, Doran able to lock that one down. Zeus is now in the front line. This is dangerous, but the Jinx is now going to get excited. That is the second kill, as the front line has been wiped out. And now Doran, the last one remaining with any kind of health bar, and Hanwha Life Esports going to have to get out of there.
On one hand, I can appreciate the call here from Hanwha Life Esports. It's decisive. You know that Twisted Fate doesn't have teleport, he doesn't have Destiny because he just used it to get out of the bottom lane, but you're also dealing with T1's composition that turns on engages so well. They have Rel, they have Thresh, they have a Jinx. If they get even one single pick, you are going to lose that longer fight every time. And it was a lot of resources used onto Owner, whose counter Magnetstorm is so good. And this is why Rel is just so strong on this meta, because she can contest smites, she can walk forward, because if you hook onto this Rel, it's super easy for the Magnetstorm re-engage to come through, as you see here. Senna Ultimate does a lot of work here for the side of Hanwha Life, getting them that additional heals, the shields. But as soon as there's a kill here, you know this one is done, so there is no way to compete with Gumayusi excited at this point. Even with Zeka still having his ultimate, he is just going to be outranged by this Jinx, and she can play very carefully around this Thresh. And if you go in as Zeka in that moment, you're probably just going to get hooked by Carrier.
Yeah, not a whole lot they can do about this. Is you can see Hanwha Life Esports were thinking about this Drake. Did manage to start it up, but they will give that one away as package now collected for Faker. Does have teleport available as well, but won't need it. Has that extra movement speed, and I think Hanwha Life Esports just realizing that it's probably not worth it to fight over a third Ocean Drake if there is Faker with a package right there. He has Spear of Sojourn completed as well. Corki is starting to become very, very frightening.
And it's, you know, a call maybe here to try to trade objectives, but it's not decisive enough, I think, for Hanwha to actually start this up. And, you know, it's frustrating to see. I think if you're a Hanwha fan, they didn't make this decision on the last Dragon that was so critical. Make it here, but there's no cross map, and T1 are just one step closer to that critical soul, and you got nothing in return.
Yeah, Control Ward does go down. They do at least have vision control of the Baron, but that's where the good news sort of ends at this point.
And we saw how their last Baron start went. I think it's going to be even tougher this time around, even with that vision control, if they want to try to threaten it, but that may be their MO here.
Yeah, package has now dissipated, and Hanwha Life Esports going to take that as the go marker. 0 vision available, but of course Destiny is. And so that means infinite vision if they would like to press the button They are going to press it now. They're going to see that the Baron is down to 50%. Of course, if Owner gets into the pit, it's not even a 50-50 as they take down the tunnel. There's the hook. They're going to go for the re-engage. They find the knockup, but he's just so incredibly tanky. Gumayushi going to get jumped on here as Doran going to try to take him down, and they are going to be able to do so. There is 2 kills to start this one off, and finally, Harmolife Esports have found a team fight. They'll get the knockup. Empress Divide onto both damage dealers. Still, it's a double kill for Faker, but it shouldn't be a one fight here for T1 as Doran, Zeka, and Peanut are just going to try and take him down. There's the knockup. Wind becomes lightning indeed, and there is the takedown onto the Corki. Finally, Harmolife Esports win a fight.
They give it to Zeka as well. That's massive. It's his 3rd kill of the game. He's getting closer to that 3rd item, but that was such a coordinated fight there for Harmolife Esports. Keria is over here trying to
just be annoying.
Just be annoying, as you say. I don't think it's really going to necessarily mean anything. We'll get a teleport.
Yeah, teleport from Faker in 20 seconds time though, so I think this Baron is just gone. Nothing that Keria can do about it other than watch. He will be spared, at least at this moment. The Baron is going to be taken down, so Harmolife Esports, they do manage to get their prize. And the gold that we were talking about now just jumps up 1,500 and back to even.
Just like last fight, Owner is able to stand between T1 and the Baron and then can turn with Magnet Storm. Senna Ultimate's going to come through, but then watch the swap here onto Guma as the Nautilus ult comes down. And then Doran securing that kill after the Lancer, just tracking that so incredibly well. If he doesn't get that kill, then I think this fight absolutely could have gone T1's way. Zeka holding his Emperor's Divide until the end to get these secure kills on the attempted exits from T1, and Faker will be given over to Zeka as well. Harmolife Esports, this is the kind of fight that we're looking for. Much better coordination from them the second time around will lead to the Baron.
Yeah, and you saw at the end there, Keria tried to give the Lantern to Faker, but unfortunately he went over the wall and was unable to actually pick that one up, so unable to be spared still. Let's see how this Red Bull Baron power play does go for Harmolife Esports. 9-9 is the kill score. Very even everywhere, all across the map, but they are 1 turret down. This bottom outer still yet to be taken for Harmolife Esports, so some standing gold for them to take down as Doran getting to work on this top side.
Yeah, and this should be able to get them a little bit of prio leading into the next Dragon fight as well. They could take much more comfortably than the last 2. As Peanut will just shadow this push here towards the bottom side, potentially even be able to take home more.
Yeah. See Zeka down here. When becomes lightning onto Keria. He's going to break his shield. As Faker with a full clip of rockets. They should be able to defend at least over here. Doran just getting to work everywhere else, trying to keep things shoved in as best he can. So far, it is 1 turret that they've picked up. Good hook is going to connect that onto Peanut, who does have to Crescent Guard, actually.
Yeah, he
avoid the damage.
Opts into that. I'm not 100% sure he had to do it, but just felt like he didn't have enough information there. And, you know, you're dealing with Jinx Rocket, etc. You just don't want to mess around with that. He decides to pop it just to be safe. And the problem with sieging as Harmolife is your siege comp is decent, but you don't have the ability to hard engage on the T1's comp because their turn is so amazing. Plus, you're dealing with turrets, you're dealing with insane Jinx range. So this Baron play here going to be about 2k. It looks like nothing too crazy.
Yeah, Doran does have his tunnel, but isn't actually going to utilize it as the turret will be taken down. So against the flow, with 30 seconds left on this Baron, it's still Zeus that's able to lock down a turret for T1. So even on the turret trade, and not exactly the greatest of Red Bull Baron power plays. We can see it is just basically the beginning gold of the Baron. Nothing else. No extra map control picked up for Hanwha here. And is it going to be a dragon? That is the question. Are they going to be able to deny the soul from this comp? Because I think Ocean Soul does work out very well if you are one of these Corki competitions, because you can just sit and poke for a really long time. Stuff like that is certainly good.
The timing of the back here for Peanut works out. His flash and his ultimate back online here does end up picking up the Randuin's third here, so Peanut is on 3 items now. Heading into this next fight, going to be very difficult to kill.
Where's the pack? Not there. Destiny has been popped here, so Hanwha, their positioning 100% known, and there is the Drake. They're going to start the fight as well, as Owner is going to have to crash his way down and out of there. Super Mega Death Rocket this time not going to work out as the tunnel out from Doran. He is still at full health. He can play that front line if they would like him to. And he's just tunneling around, does manage to eat a gold card for that one, as now T1 with positional advantage in mid lane. looking to try and put pressure on this inner turret. The rest of Hanwha Life Esports trying to rotate their way around.
This comp is pretty fragile here from T1. Besides Owner, they have to be so careful about staying in this mid lane and pushing any further, as if they get split apart, it is going to be a disaster. Delight did not ult in that last fight. Zeka still has Emperor's Divide. There's so many different ways T1 could get caught. If they want to try to get cute here, they need to be very careful and cautious.
Ooh, Zap not going to connect onto Peanut. Neither does the hook. As when becomes Lightning, he gets himself out of the way. Gold card at the ready. But he's going to flash on top of Viper. He does get into the mist, and he's able to get himself out. Immediate cleanse. That is a summoner spell in trade for an auto attack with a card on top, so
yeah,
you'd probably say that it's worth for T1. Well, still the flash was utilized by Zayas.
Yeah, that's the other issue. I mean, I love this play if Viper doesn't have cleanse, but he did. So, you know, does get a small win there, and if perhaps they were able to lead into another CC there, it would have been absolutely worth it if they end up killing Viper, but they're unsuccessful. You could see in that last fight on the Dragon as well that as Delight becomes more tanky, he can just kind of walk towards Owner and say, yeah, normally if I hook you, you know, you Magnet Storm and then the team focuses me down, but I'm so big now that it's very difficult for you to do that, and the rest of the team can just play around me. The Senna's range now, getting closer to that of Jinx's and having the ability to actually slow fight these with a 3.5 item now with the arm guard picked up. Azir is really comfortable for Hanwha Life Esports. Seems like the tides have turned a little bit here when Faker doesn't have package.
Well, Peanut needed to have swept that ward that Doran was standing on, as Delight not going to quite find that. Still going to be the snare connecting onto Owner. 40 seconds on the Baron. That is going to be the next thing to watch out for here in this game. T1 currently with a lot of vision control, at least towards this river opening.
Tremor Sense getting so much value here.
Oh, yeah.
It's always knowing where T1 are rotating. You can see that showcased here by our observers, those little rings you see on the ground. Doran knows where they're kiting back. Are they lurking there? Are they looking for a counter engage? This Rek'Sai is just going to give so much additional information to the side of Hanwha Life Esports as they kind of juggle for neutral here and start stealing away some of these camps, stealing away deep vision. Now T1 have grouped on this spawning Baron, 10 seconds to go. They have amazing turn. Faker is going to be able to pick up package here for this next fight. He's prepped his big rocket as well. This could be a game-deciding fight.
Yeah, T1 already starting this one up as Delight in position. Flame Chompers go down. Hook going to go wide there as Zeka now finally going to join the fight. The Hook is going to connect. That's on a flashless Twisted Fate as well. Still, he's able to kite this one out. The flash forward from Peanut, and Doran's able to lock that one down. But now the package is absolutely gigantic. Still, Doran just shrugs it off. They are able to take down Peanut, but Emperor's Divide connects. And that is the wipeout for Hanwha Life. They are looking to try and end this game.
9,600 in damage for Faker on the Corki. The package is big, but it's not big enough. And it looks like it might be the end of his winning streak here on said champion as Hanwha Life with a huge team fight win here in Doran, so consistently guaranteeing these kills onto Guma, even with the lanterns, even when the Jinx is over the wall. With that turn from Faker, it is not enough.
Oh my god, the intensity of this game, but still, Hanwha Life now knocking on the front door of T1. These death timers are not exactly the longest, but the Nexus turrets are going down. Still, Owner standing his ground, trying to take control. They'll take both Nexus turrets, but they're not able to end the game, and now Destiny has been procced. Teleport to come in here as Delight is in a lot of trouble at this point. He is going to be sacrificed, and now Faker's teleported over. Is this the counter win now for T1 as the gold card is going to connect? Doran is not able to get out of this one, and that's Faker locking that one down. Remember, guys, the Baron is still up.
Yeah, the Baron is up.
Can just walk on over.
And also, so is the Ocean Soul here for T1. They might be able to get both out of Hanwha Life's overextension. A miscalculation on ending the game. Vision here to see Zeka trying to threaten that mid-push. The Nexus is open and naked, but it doesn't matter. You only have an Azir to worry about here. They tracked him well, and they will be able to turn the Baron around, as this fight is absolutely wild. But again, T1 have such fantastic turn, and when they have the cross here from Faker, when Hanwha Life go in, everything is spent on the Zeus, and so Faker's like, this is going to be one of the greatest packages in pro play of all time, as Hanwha Life Esports are super priced into this. look at the layering of damage here. And then Doran over the wall to kill Guma is so massive there. Without that play, I think T1 again have a much better chance with all that damage coming through, but they do ultimately win it and fail to push. And that is Baron plus Ocean Soul over to T1, and now they're suddenly back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they do have an exposed Nexus, which is a little scary, a little frightening, you could say. Life Esports now going to push down with this super minion towards that exposed inhibitor, but there are still inner turrets in top and bot lane. And with the Baron, I don't think that Life Esports are going to be getting anywhere near that Nexus at any point in time. Control ward put down as well just to make sure there aren't any cheeky wards for the teleport still. Zeka and Doran don't have theirs up and available. As with 5 members of Life Esports here, it is very difficult to defend. And now Magnus Storm is going to get that engage on through. Peanut taking so much damage now, able to use Owner to try and taxi out, but the double knockup is fantastic from Doran. They take down the Thresh and the Rel, and now Gumayushi is exposed. He's going to get snared, and now the game is finally over. Life Esports, it looked dicey after that push failed, but this time around, the Nexus will go down. And on the red side, Life Esports will take game 1.
And Doran's Rek'Sai, we said